Alright guys, welcome to the video, and I'll say right now, if you got her, then good job. She's a fantastic monster, but she's a lot more usable as a pro than as a beginner, and I'll explain why. So first, I'll say, I really like that she starts off, her first trait is anticipation. This is endlessly useful. So as you know, if an enemy does an extra turn, you get a turn before them. That is just fantastic. And then second trait is immune to blind. It's kind of a throwaway, you know. Usually with monsters like this where their moves and their traits are really good, they spread out the two best traits. And then the middle is just kind of filler because she doesn't even have any negative effects that she would need precision to land. I don't think she even has one negative effect. No, she doesn't. Immune to blind and possession, I feel like they're both the same caliber. Immunity to possession is actually going to come in handy since Lord Heyman uses a lot of possession, mega possession, and he is going to be the biggest denier since Teddy Bomb's era. And then immune to blind, it's just nice. There's a lot of monsters in the lower meta that utilize blind, and it's just annoying to be blinded. Although, it's kind of weird that they gave her precision and blind when you do not need, to be guaranteeing attacks. And then at rank 5 she has the status caster Pierce, which is amazing, but the fact is that is at rank 5, and even pros I know like Abrigo don't have her at rank 5 yet, so it's really hard when people like her and Hornroot have their great usability put at a high rank. So I didn't even go over her trait and lore, so no, I go over her trait. Elfera, she's a magic and dark doomsday era monster. This dark elf lives at the skirts of a volcano, surrounded by ash, but since her homeland is pretty dead, she spends a lot of time traveling in all sorts of forest and mountain chains. However, in spite of being a great adventurer, she's never made any friends away from home. Survival is her only interest. Wow, I gotta say, I did not read her lore before, but it is just like it's just like the monster who she almost tick for tack copied, that being Stall Killer. You know, same color, same move, same trait set, but she is almost objectively better. So now I'll go over her relics first. It's just a mask and a sword, so you know, Kane's sword, I really don't know what the new obsidian swords are, so for the pros I'll see real quick what swords are there. There's this sword that applies sunburn, and this sword that applies repentance. So yeah, the swords are the same as always. I think Kane's sword is still the best one. In the mask, you can do whatever. You can increase your damage. You can have a stamina mask going, which is highly advised. And I will say, I'm a bit iffy on her skill set. And by that, I mean her skill set is so amazing, I don't know what moves to run. So, starting off with Living in the Woods, moderate dark damage. On a 0 turn cooldown, 24 stamina. It's low for 45 damage. Honestly, consider running it. But her other moves are so good, there's no empty slot on... There's no bad move in her skill set that you can even consider removing. She has too many good moves. Shadow Elf applies dark weakness to all enemies. 0 turn cooldown, 30 stamina. I hate... This is why I'm annoyed with her. She's so good that moves like this, which would be nice and cool to apply an AoE dark weakness. First off, she only has single attacks, and some of them do percentage, so yeah, you're not going to get the most effect out of it, and she doesn't have any AoEs. So an AoE weakness is kind of redundant when you have aim for weakness, which gives them a dark weakness on one person. So I wouldn't suggest running it, but I can't deny it's a great move. Seek and Destroy, this is just a precision damage boost, you have better. And then this is where the moves get hard, where you have to kind of decide what suits your situation best. I think for a lot of people, since this move does an extra turn and she has anticipation, it's not worth running at the most, but a lot of people do use it. Applies a damage boost to itself, gives a 1 extra turn to itself. On a 2 turn cooldown, 42 stamina. There's a lot of good sides to this. It'll help you cycle back into heart infection. You will infinitely have a damage boost, since this is a 2 turn cooldown and this effect lasts 3 turns. you can infinitely cycle it on. And it just makes her a stronger monster to make up for her being in an older era. But I'm kind of having a hard time fitting it into her skill set, so I will say, if you are a top tier, like if you're a pro, definitely run this move. But if you're not a pro, and let's say, because this is the explanation I'm going with for running her pierce double damage setup move, if I only get her to rank 3 max, I'm not going to have the status caster pierce, so I need to be able to apply a pierce that'll last night survival, and it's on a 2-turn cooldown, so you'll be able to infinitely have pierce. And the reason why this aim for weakness, applies pierce, deals heavy dark damage, applies weakness, and then removes pierce isn't enough is because maybe it is in the pro leagues where you can just remove them one at a time, but for people like me, beginners who don't have the runes to instant kill, you don't want to have a move that does pierce once, and then let's say you have a Megaton monster, a Rarus, and a Cherub Cupid. You do this move, and it's not strong enough to kill the Cherub Cupid. Then what? You remove your pierce so you don't have pierce, and now you gotta set it up again, but the move is on cooldown. I feel like it's a real big handicap to have this move and this move at the same time, and I feel like aim for weakness is honestly replaceable, because it works against you, removing the pierce and only applying it for one attack that may or may not be strong enough. But then again, it can be the one shot that you need. It really depends on like what situation you're in. I personally don't think you need aim for weakness, just because it removes the pierce that if you set this up and then you do this, you'll only have pierce and double damage for that one attack. You know, because it removes it at the end, whether you applied it in this turn or whether you already had it. So a lot goes through my head when I see her removing pierce, her having to apply pierce unless she's at rank 5, which, like, come on, man, not a lot of people are gonna have rank 5 monsters. So yeah, in my opinion, I'm gonna run Night Survival. I personally say any pros, if you're gonna get her at rank 5, Instinctive Destruction is the way to go. Leg Infection and Heart Infection are pretty much the same thing, but for optimal reasons, they're different. One thing I will say about her biggest disadvantage is her high stamina cost. It's justified because super high damage and then super high percent removal is an insane mechanic to be running. So first, very heavy dark damage to one enemy removes 20% of total life. This is a Uriel, it is a King Autumn, it is a Fropsy killer. That much heavy dark damage and then removing 20%. And then the same thing here, except it's massive and it's 30%. So with this, if you have the weakness advantage, let's say you have Instinctive Destruction, so you had the damage boost or you had, the double damage, this, you only have to remove 70% of a monster's life for an instant kill. That is really good when, you start moving up in the eras and your damage output can't instant kill as easily anymore. Being able to have this, which kind of equalizes the stats, and this, which removes percentage of your life. So your damage output can't get outdated too fast if you're removing a percent, which is always amazing. They're both amazing, and they're actually on surprisingly low cooldowns. This one's on a 2-turn cooldown, a massive attack, which is, wow, I can never get over this. Look, that's about 80 damage with a 30% life removal. So you've got a great chance at instant killing with this one. And same thing here, except slightly lower, at the cost of a 1-turn cooldown, which means you can cycle into this, like, very quickly. Although, I will say, I've just seen that this is on a 1-turn cooldown, so if you ran Instinctive Destruction, you could do this, then do Instinctive, then go back to aim for weakness. So maybe that's a strat. There's a lot of things in this skill set to love, and a lot of things to debate whether you want to run or not. And another thing to keep in mind is that you really want to make sure you have a stamina relic. I take it back, you need a stamina mask on, because 75 and 80 and 68, no, 72 and 68 stamina cost for attacks that you can cycle quickly, you are instantly going to run out of stamina, I guarantee you. And that extra turn move is only taking more stamina, so That's actually her biggest con, is her stamina cost. She is amazing. So I'm working on ranking her up right now. I'll just show off some of the things I was talking about. So let's get this bad boy into review mode. Where is she? Elfera. Then I'll go La Mama and like no, not Galvanus. My kinetic. Yeah. Alright, so let me try and show you this strategy right here. So first you deny. Usually you can get an opening, and if you can't, then you were kind of like screwed from the beginning. Getting an opening is one of the most important things. So look at this. Most of that damage right now is just the percent damage because you know, she's only a level 100. This is 123. She's not going to be doing that much damage, but let's say you want to apply pierce, right? Because you're not at rank 5, so you have to apply pierce somehow. And then it gets back to her, and boom, you do aim for weakness. Now he has dark weakness. Now things are looking good. But when it gets back to you, you don't have the pierce that you just set up. So doing those 2 moves in a row are really bad. And look at that. I did 3 moves, and she's out of stamina. That is not too important right here. Of course, I have the match in the bag. But in the battlefield, like PvP, wars, etc., that stamina cost is really hefty. So you really got to make a debate. This thing being on a 1-turn cooldown actually makes it a lot more usable than I was worried about it not being the first time. But my point still stands about you removing and all that. So let me see. I'll show you the second strategy you can try and run, which is do instinctive destruction. And I'll try and just keep them denied instead of killing them with, you know, boiling and that. So, La Mama, you are too powerful. Let's get rid of your stamina. Oh, wait, no. That's an awful idea. He's fire with attuned. I would be doing more harm than good. Where can I find a good denier around here? Water bedbug. Alright, so let's get into this one. Just stun. That is just for the point of the demonstration. Now look at this. You do aim for weakness. He has dark weakness, right? And maybe you have runes strong enough on her to where that was an instant kill or near it. But this is a boss with almost 1,000,000 health, so that wasn't going to happen. Then you do instinctive destruction. You have a damage boost, and you can once again do leg infection. So, no, not leg infection. Aim for weakness. So it's almost like you had pierce anyways, because you can cycle back into this attack that has pierce. Although you can only do that twice in a row, and I don't know if that's good enough. It is definitely good enough when a monster's doing extra turns and you just like cycle into it. But it's just food for thought, you know? Because I always like to keep in mind situations you're going to get stuck in while playing. And, you know, that always just seems like an important one to me. And then look, of course, after only 3 moves of, and I think any skills you do, you will be running out of stamina. Look at that. At rank 1, leg infection takes almost half of her stamina. And heart infection takes only 8 points shy of all of her stamina. So hard to work with that stamina cost. Of course, there are relics for that. But even as a pro, I didn't like that people never like really think about how, oh, stamina draining is like irrelevant. Yeah, but the second your runes for stamina draining are out, it's just as big of a problem as it used to be. So always keep it in mind. And then I think the last situation you could try and do is just not use aim for weakness, because aim for weakness and nice survival kind of contradict each other. But I really don't know about how I feel about having only like 2 very, very strong attacks that drain all of your stamina. Because look, ideally in that scenario, you do the hunt for weakness, is that called? Instinctive destruction. Then you do the double damage pierce move, so you have pierce. And this is for people at a low rank who don't already have, you know, pierce at the start of the battle. And then look, boom, you have damage boost, double damage. But then after your attack, if you don't have the stamina rune, not only are you like out of stamina, actually no, I think that's pretty great. You will run out of stamina, but by the next turn, you still have pierce. And that is a pretty big deal because she is a monster who, if you run her at rank 5 with instinctive destruction and no night survival. Instead, you have the hunt for weakness. You won't be able to have this reoccurring pierce. If there is a megaton monster, let's say this guy was a megaton monster and his ally was a dodge area monster, I'd be able to attack him once with hunt for weakness, but then I'd have to wait until my next turn. And in this game, you never know if you're going to get that next turn. What if your opponents are too strong and you just don't get the opportunity? So yeah, that is got to be one of my most thought out reviews of a monster ever. Yeah, I think she's really fantastic. I think using her is a completely different scenario for beginners and non-beginners. So I wanted to be thorough with this one because I feel like it's an important video. Elfera is a very popular monster. She's actually getting more popular right now. And I wanted, you to have like the best review possible on it. So I hope you enjoyed and I hope you found it helpful. Let me also go over for, fun, what relics I would suggest using with her. I wouldn't say Spear of Destiny. You want that with someone who can AoE, and she can't do that. You don't need Ancient Cloak because you have, of course, Anticipation already. I think the best one that you can run on her... Dang, this is really all the talents? I thought there were more. I think the best possible talent for her, and surprisingly it's one that I have, is either Dark Passenger or Burnt Blood. Because with all that heavy damage output, 85% damage plus boiling, plus remove 30%, that I feel like is a guaranteed instant kill. It doesn't matter where you're from. Or Dark Passenger just to get rid of the worry of her getting controlled and then, having to waste a turn. When with her, she's really easy to win with, but you have to be using every turn. You can't be running out of stamina. And, yeah, that's a pretty big deal. But that's about it for the video. If you enjoyed it, if you thought it was helpful, if you enjoyed my longer, more thought out reviews of meta monsters and how they can be used and how they are differently used for beginners and for pros, leave a like on the video. It really supports the video and it really makes my day to see that anyone liked the video, because I know it's not still like how I used to make it, and even those people would watch it, I would feel like no one was watching it. So it just shows me that someone found it helpful, and that means a lot to me. Leave a comment and I will respond. I always love to hear your comments and your thoughts in the comments down below. What skill set are you running on her? I heard that some people thought it was silly that I ran Night Survival for the Peirce, but I went over it pretty extensively in this video, so tell me what you think of the strategy and what skill set you're going to be running, because I have genuine interest in what you guys think is the best. And keep in mind the difference between a beginner using it and a rank 5 has Peirce already person using it. And subscribe to join the Crab Army. We are at 118 subscribers. We are right there next to 120. And I feel like 120 is a very special number, because it's I always think of 60. Then I think of 60 plus 60 is 120. And that is just a massive number of people. And that is a massive number of people in the Crab Army, And I feel like we're getting there, up in the numbers where we can take over a state and stuff like that. So subscribe before 120 and you'll be able to say that you did. It's quite the flex. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Your favorite Omni-Crab signing out. And I'll see you in the next